I'm Jason Sipe, and this is the Indiana Libertarian Update for the week of April 3rd, 2017. We're releasing this week's Indiana Libertarian Update a few days early to accommodate the visit of Liberty rocker and cannabis activist Jordan Page. He's here to fill you in on his Sunday and Monday appearances at Purdue University, as well as CannaSense, a program that just may be able to let you enjoy the benefits of California's legal medical cannabis laws from the comfort of your home right here in Indiana. We've got that in just a few minutes, but first let's check on libertarian news and events from around the state of Indiana. Those confounded kids at Riker's convenience store figured out how to sell cold beer in two of their locations recently. The same GOP-led legislature that hasn't been able to make Sunday sales a reality in decades reacted to the ingenious interpretation of the law with lightning speed. Measures to control the wayward purveyors of cold beer are currently in the works at the Indiana State House. Okay, let's go ahead and see what's happening event-wise in the state. As we mentioned earlier, the Jordan Page performance is going to be happening at Purdue University at Fowler Hall from 5 to 7 p.m. on Monday. Now, there is another event happening Sunday, and Jordan has some details about that in the interview. It's not a musical performance, more of an open discussion, and anybody who's interested is invited to join him on Sunday evening as well. Again, we have those details coming up in our interview in just a few minutes. The Boone County Libertarians will have their April meeting and convention on Monday. That's at Books and Brews in Zionsville from 6:30 to 7:30 p.m. on April 3rd. So that is this Monday. Not a lot going on otherwise this week in the county until 1 week from Monday. On April 10th, the Tippecanoe County Convention will be happening. That is at Spurlocks on Main Street in Lafayette, up there in the northwest part of central Indiana. Hope they have a good convention up there. The Libertarian Party of LaPorte County will have their meeting and convention next week on Wednesday. That's April 12th from 6 p.m. to 8 p.m. at the Best Western Plus LaPorte Hotel and Conference Center located on Pine Lake Avenue in LaPorte, Indiana. Your April meetup for the Hamilton County Libertarians is going to be happening next Thursday. That's at Barley Island Brewing Company. That's for those folks up there in Hamilton County. That's becoming more and more of an event. And again, that happens next Thursday at 6:30 p.m. On April 17th, toward the middle part of April, Libertarian Party of Marion County is going to have their monthly meetup. That's going to be called the Libertarian Sausage Fest. And no, it's not what you're thinking. This is actually done in conjunction with Dingus Day, a day dedicated to all things Polish. More of a thing up in the region than it is in other parts of the state, but here in central Indiana, you can swing by the Antelope Club and join in with your libertarian friends and have a wonderful plate of pierogi and some wonderful sausage there at the Antelope Club. On April 18th, the Libertarian Party of Jasper County is going to have their organizing convention, and we wish them the best. That's at 6:30 p.m. at Boundaries Wanderers Restaurant on DeMott Street in DeMott, Indiana. And, of course, if you haven't done so already, be sure to get your reservations and your accommodations taken care of for the LPIN State Convention. That happens on May 5th through the 7th at the Tropicana Executive Conference Center there in Evansville, Indiana. It's going to be right there at the casino, at the hotel, and a good time should be had by all. Now, we had to record this week's interview via smartphone, and there were some issues with my end of the audio. I apologize for the chorus of yours truly when I speak, but we try to let this week's guest, Jordan Page, do most of the talking for the majority of this session. Now, here is the man himself, Jordan Page.
Oh, man, I've been trying to answer that question for a long time. Well, first, thanks for having me on the show, Jason. Glad to be here with you. And so, I mean, my mission has always been to just educate people through a non-threatening means, which is music. I mean, music has a way of getting inside people's souls without them even knowing it, and carrying a message like a Trojan horse. So many people are poisoned by apathy and indifference and by disinformation from the time that they're born. And music is a non-threatening way to convey a message and to open people up. And once I heard the call to liberty and spent the time necessary to really educate myself on what's really going on in the world and broke free from the matrix, so to speak, I knew that it was my calling to use my gifts with music to do some good in the world, not just have it be music for music's sake, but music with a message, music with an inspiring message and an educational message, and meant to break that spell of apathy. And so in the course of my travels, I was fortunate enough to meet Congressman Ron Paul back in 2008, and I'd already been working in the Liberty Movement for a couple of years by that point, but Ron Paul wasn't really on my radar until the beginning of 2008, and then I met him in July at the last event of his campaign, which was my very first Liberty event, which was the Revolution March in D.C. And I realized that day when 15,000 people showed up that there was a whole movement, and it was something I could just step into and be part of, and I didn't have to start a movement. There already was one. I was very, very happy to hear that, and because I came into this completely uneducated. I was sort of led to the Liberty Movement by a song that I wrote in the middle of the night in December of '06 called "The Pendulum," and it changed my life, and I didn't even know what it was about when I wrote it. It just sort of happened in the middle of the night, and the first time I played it for a large group, just a few weeks after I'd written it, they gave me a standing ovation, and I realized that this song, these people know what this song is about, but I don't. So it was clear I'd been given a message and a gift, really, that I had to go and learn to appreciate and become educated. And once I did, it all just sort of fell into my lap, and I ended up playing about 20 shows, 20 events for Ron Paul's campaigns, and on and off the campaign trail over the years, and developed a national following. And now, since the campaign's been over for the last few years, I've been really just focused on the issues that I care about, like gun rights and anti-war and cannabis freedom. And so in the last 2 years, the cannabis freedom calling has really materialized and has really kind of taken over my life. And and now I work with a national medical cannabis collective, helping patients get legal access in all 50 states. So people know me for the music, and now I'm able to use my vast network to promote this program to people who need access and don't have it where they live.
I want to get to that program and the details of that in just a minute. But let's talk a little bit more about what's happening with you musically, because again, we're trying to promote your appearance this coming Monday at Purdue University. It's been a few years since we've heard the last album from you, which was Liberty, released in 2011. I've had a chance to listen to some of the newer stuff, some of the new stuff that you have on the webpage. What's going on musically? Do we have an album in the works?
Well, I've got 3 albums worth of new material to record, and it looks like it's finally going to start getting done this year. I've been touring like incessantly for the last 5 years, and this past year, 2016, we had some pretty serious medical issues with some of my children in 2016, and that took a lot of my time, and I didn't tour nearly as much. But I've been writing a lot, and I've got tons of new songs. I mean, I've got so many new songs, it's crazy. And I'm going to be performing, as you said, at Purdue University on Monday, April the 3rd. And that's being hosted by Young Americans for Liberty, who the last time I was at Purdue at Fowler Hall, the Yale chapter there hosted me last time, and they contacted me again, and they said, we'd love for you to come back. And I said, I'd love to, too. And so I'll be playing a show, I think, at 5 o'clock in Fowler Hall, which is a beautiful theater on campus. And it's open to the public. I believe it's free admission, and it's going to be a wonderful time. And I'm going to showcase a lot of the new songs and take requests and tell stories, and it's going to be a great time.
I'm looking forward to it. I'm not positive I can make the trip from Indianapolis, but I know a lot of folks will be there in attendance. The West Lafayette chapter there at the University of the Young Americans for Liberty did some great work in the last couple of years, and it's no surprise they're continuing that by bringing you to town.
Yeah, I'm a big fan of Young Americans for Liberty, and I've done lots of shows with chapters all over the country, and it's just really nice to see as these generations go out, like a 4-year institution, that the next generation picks up the mantle and continues on the work. It's really great to see that.
it's difficult at universities because you have such a turnover. Musically speaking, for the uninitiated, when I listen to your stuff, of course it's message-driven, but I really have a hard time nailing it down to a single style or it seems like you've got a lot of different things coming together in your music. How would you describe the musical aspect of what you do?
Well, I mean, I grew up listening to songwriters and folk singers like, Bob Dylan and John Denver, Kenny Rogers, that kind of stuff. And then when I was 11, my first real love in life was The Doors, Jim Morrison and The Doors. And then the Seattle bands of the 90s took my interest, and then it was Pink Floyd and Led Zeppelin, and for I have vast musical interests. But one thing I always would be irritated by was if I bought an album and every song sounded exactly the same, as though they were selling a sound and not just making art that was either good or not. And I never wanted to be like that, because I have so many different tastes, and I have so many different types of music that I like. And if you listen to Liberty, you're going to hear some pretty hard rock, thrashing type stuff. You're going to hear some folk music. You're going to even hear some country, some bluegrass. And mixtures all in between, and I experiment with different scales to create new musical recipes. But you're right, it is all message driven. But some songs are show and some songs are tell. The tell songs are the ones where I just spell out for you what I'm talking about, and the show songs are the ones where I just use the poetry to let it mean whatever you want it to mean, but it has its own meaning. And I feel hammering people over the head is not very effective, so I don't do as many of those kinds of songs. I try to ask questions in my songs, and I find that's the most effective way of converting anybody to anything, is to ask them the right question and let them answer it. But musically speaking, I mean, it leans, it leans on the side of like hard rock, but with some southern roots and country influences, and so and folk, and there's just a wide variety of sounds. The next record is going to have some hip hop crossover with some of my hip hop friends who are Liberty musicians who do hip hop out of New York and Philadelphia. And it's going to be lots of surprises on the next album for sure, genre-wise.
All right. Well, we'll definitely be looking forward to that. Let's talk a little bit about campus freedom. This is something that I've seen in your posts on Facebook and your message in general as late. Something that you hold near. What's going on with Jordan Page and cannabis?
Well, years ago, I mean, I haven't been a recreational cannabis smoker for about 17 years. I quit actually on January 1st of 2000. I had no appreciation for what this plant is back then. I was young and stupid, and it was just part of my culture of friends and just my peers. It wasn't something that I really understood or had any deep respect for, which was a mistake. I had no guidance with it. As a person now, as a true sense of the word, an adult, I look at it much different now. And I see purpose in cannabis. The human body, whoever who's listening, whoever you believe created human beings, whether it was God or evolution or aliens or whatever, whoever designed us with a cannabis system in our bodies with specific receptors that go to spots of pain and inflammation or disease, and like cancer and tumors. They go there and they wait for cannabinoids to show up. And we all produce cannabinoids every day, but when we have a deficiency of cannabinoids, we need them from the plant. We were designed to interact with this plant on one level or another. And the way that it's been demonized through media, through just the pharmaceutical industrial complex, the prison industrial complex, have all grown up out of the prohibition of this plant, and it's all but for nefarious purposes. I mean, half the people in America's prison systems are there for nonviolent drug offenses, and most of them are there for cannabis. It's a cash cow for the prison industrial complex, and it also allows the pharmaceutical industrial complex to to thrive and continue poisoning us and pushing their dangerous drugs on us, when really the nature's cure, and in my view, God's cure for so many of our ailments and problems is growing right out of the ground. And so the culture is waking up and demanding this plant. They are demanding access to it. And now we have half the states in the union have legalized it in some form or another. We have a long way to go, and half the people in this country still don't have access. And that's the mission of CannaSense. So CannaSense is a medical cannabis collective that was started by a good friend of mine. His name is Neil Schloss. He's also a very strong former Ron Paul supporter. And Neil and his partner, his business partner, Luis Santiago, a cannabis activist from California, they came together with this vision of getting everyone access. And so they put a very powerful legal team together, and over a period of about 12 years, discovered that there are laws in place already that circumvent the Controlled Substances Act and the Schedule I status of cannabis. And those are the Compassionate Use Act, which was a California law that allows anyone, not just California residents, but anyone, to become a member of a medical cannabis collective with the recommendation of a doctor. So along comes Obamacare, the Affordable Care Act in 2008, and it created provisions for telemedicine, where people can see their medical professionals over the internet without leaving their home, and legally it's the same thing as them traveling there in person. So telemedicine has become ingrained in the American medical establishment and globally. It's worldwide. It's not going anywhere. Even if they were to repeal Obamacare, the telemedicine provisions are still, they're just part of medicine now. There's no getting rid of it. And so what we do is we set every patient up, no matter what state they live in. We set them up with a California doctor through a telemedicine service called Presto Doctor that we exclusively partner with. They have a consultation with a board-certified medical physician who approves them for membership in CannaSense, and then we go through an application process with them, and we get them approved. It usually takes 1 day to get this entire thing done, and it's the most inexpensive and easiest way to get access to legal medical cannabis in the country. And from there, they are able to order from our apothecary on our site, and we ship right to their homes. Now, the way that we accomplish this is through the U.S. Constitution. The Reciprocity Clause, as it's known, is Article 4, Section 1, which says that full faith and credit will be given to every state as to their laws, acts, and judicial proceedings in every other state. And what this means is that anyone, in any state in the Union, can become a medical cannabis collective member under the Compassionate Use Act, and their state where they happen to reside, as part of their membership in the Union of States under the Constitution, they have to adhere to it. They have to honor the Compassionate Use Act. And so everyone becomes medical patients, everyone becomes California patients through this process.
How's the response been? Have you been signing up numbers?
It's all I do all day long now. I mean, I literally talk to patients all day long. You know, the word is out. People are joining in droves. We're expanding all the time. We're bringing on new vendors all the time with new strains, with new products. And we're not just talking about flowers. We're talking about concentrated oils. We're talking like Rick Simpson oils. We're talking about CBD products, pure CBD with no psychoactive properties, and THC products, edibles. We have anything you can think of, we've pretty much got, and we're bringing on new vendors all the time with anything that we find that we don't have, because we want to offer a wide variety of products. This isn't like, you know, most of the people I talk to on a daily basis are over 50. Most of them are over 60, and they've been lied to their whole lives about cannabis, and they know it. And they most of them have chronic illnesses, and the only thing that's ever worked for them, even remotely, has been cannabis. And they've tried everything, and they're just ready to take the plunge and do this. You know, this isn't just your typical, you know, like everyone has a stereotypical image in their mind of the stereotypical, you know, cannabis, you know, habitual cannabis user. This isn't even about that. This is for everyone. I mean, this plant is for everyone, and we provide access to anyone regardless of age or race or demographics.
Yeah, one of the things I understand is how much innovation is going on in the cannabis industry right now, in the medical cannabis industry especially. I had the pleasure of visiting Denver, Colorado last fall. I'm a stagehand. I've around the country and know a thing or two about cannabis. I thought I knew a thing or two about cannabis. There's a whole new world going on. I know nothing about cannabis. That's what I've learned. Maybe you could tell some of our listeners here in this poor Indiana, where we will probably be one of the last states to go legal because of because of many reasons. I'll leave that at that. What is changing about cannabis? How is it different from what we were getting out of Kentucky back in the 80s and 90s?
Well, the science behind cannabis has really evolved, and the public understanding and education about cannabis has really evolved and changed, and more people understand, what the benefits of the plant are. But as far as the physical difference, I mean, you're getting people who are devoting their lives to the science of this plant and to enhancing its effects by crossing it with other strains that have desirable qualities, and you're getting new and more powerful strains. But we're also able to breed cannabis that has very little to no psychoactive properties now, whereas before you're basically, cannabis is known as a drug that gets you high. Whereas the THC gets a bad rap because it's really a very powerful anti-inflammatory and anti-pain medicine. But now we also know about CBD, cannabidiol. And cannabidiol is also a very powerful anti-inflammatory and pain medicine that can be used for all kinds of things, including epilepsy and seizures and cancer. And they're growing strains now that are very high in CBD to where there's almost no THC content. We've also developed ways of extracting the oils from the plant and with like CO2 or with food grade solvents, and getting cooking it down to where the solvents have disappeared, and all that's left is the raw medicine from the plant. And we call this Rick Simpson oil because Rick Simpson was a man who pioneered the process and made it famous for curing cancer. And now cannabis oil is becoming a worldwide and very well known method of curing cancer. We know now that cannabidiol, CBD, is proven in multiple lab tests to create to stop metastasis from occurring, to stop cancer from spreading. And tetrahydrocannabinol 9, THC, is now very well known as a cancer-killing agent. So while the CBD is stopping metastasis from taking place, the THC is actually killing the cancer while leaving healthy cells alone. The cannabinoid system in the human body is like the internet of the human body. It's a communications network that carries information to all the cells and regulates all the systems in the body, keeping them at homeostasis. Most people are cannabinoid deficient, and that's where we get a lot of our problems, especially autoimmune disorders. In fact, there's a lot of mounting evidence now that suggests that diseases like fibromyalgia, autoimmune disorders that are inflammatory, that they are actually caused by a cannabis deficiency, that we're not getting enough cannabis. Human beings used to eat animals that would eat cannabis, and we were also historically consuming this plant, ingesting it, smoking it, using it in many different ways, and all throughout history. And a lot of diseases that never existed before exist now because our bodies are not getting the essential herb that we need in order to be healthy.
It is fascinating to see the mounting evidence indicating the medical power of cannabis, and even in states where you see legalized for recreational purposes, the numbers concerning opioid deaths and opioid issues, you see them cut significantly, at least that's what the numbers are stating. How do you react when you hear Jeff Sessions and others at the federal level indicating that increased enforcement might be on the horizon?
Well, the way first of all, Jeff Sessions is just absolute horror of a human being, but he's going to do what his boss tells him to do. And I was very disappointed when I saw Jeff Sessions appointed as Attorney General. However, if I really examine Trump's strategy here, because he said many times that he's in favor of medical cannabis. He's not in favor of recreational cannabis, but I say there's no difference. All cannabis use is medicinal in my view. But That being said, there still is a distinction in popular culture between recreational and medicinal. And the way I see Trump trying to steer the ship is to lump all cannabis use into medicinal and have it lumped in as a medicine, and thereby decriminalize it by making it a medicine. And in which case that would be, that would be an interesting way to take a large step toward the eventual decriminalization of the plant, across the board, which is what we want to see, of course. But in the meantime, I think it will inevitably allow more people to get access to it, albeit the problem would be that the government would have control. We would have much more control. I mean, Trump's a businessman. He wants to make money. I mean, it's always been the problem with cannabis is that pharmaceutical companies are not allowed to patent a naturally occurring substance. So cannabis, of course, is the enemy. Doctors are not taught about cannabis in medical school, and the U.S. government is the largest importer of illegal drugs into this country. Far beyond any other entity, and so keeping it illegal on the black market ensures a large profit margin. But now the culture is demanding access to cannabis, and so the government is trying to get out in front of this and find a way to make money off of it long term and control it. But I'm not sure that they're going to be able to do it because of how quickly the culture is waking up. The culture of the United States, the people. When there is widespread knowledge and they want something, they will have it. That is the most powerful force on the ground. The most powerful political force is public opinion and what the culture wants. And so that's always been what I've been most focused on, is changing the culture and educating people. Because once they've got all the information, they can make an educated decision and have an educated opinion and a completely informed opinion. I mean, I could be taught lies all my life and believe strongly in something, and then and take a position on something that doesn't even exist. And that's what's really going on here. And so educating people. I mean, I'm speaking as a Christian myself. I run into Christians all the time who have been taught that it's the devil's weed and that it's an evil thing. And I have a very strong theological argument for the use of cannabis. And once we talk about the cannabinoid system, and I can quote scripture to them, supporting these claims and this evidence. I've turned a lot of hearts and minds of a lot of Christians out there who had their minds made up about this. And once you can see you've been deceived, then you have the opportunity to make a change. And so that's a big part of the mission of Cannabis Sense, is education. The number one mission is patient access, getting everybody access through legal means, using the letter of the law to do so. I mean, this isn't even civil disobedience, Jason. I wish it was. It's not even civil disobedience. We are using the letter of the law in order to get legal access under the current tyrannical climate. Now, one point I want to make to you and to the listeners is that we recognize that we live under tyranny. I mean, I'm a libertarian / anarchist, and I have, I get probably just as much as anybody else does the levels of tyranny that we're actually living under in this country. And so given that fact, and given that there is a level of fear that exists, that the CannaSense Foundation was created in tandem with CannaSense, so that if the unlikely scenario occurs where someone who was a compliant patient in our program and was protected by the laws ever was harassed, intimidated, or arrested and charged as a result of having and using cannabis as their medication, that the CannaSense Foundation will actually provide them with a fully paid for legal defense team. So every member and patient in our program gets the legal insurance of having the CannaSense Foundation behind them. Should they ever get arrested or charged, they will not have to pay for an attorney. We will come to bat for them and will fight to get them exonerated.
That's a great feature, to go with the Cannabis Sense program. Have there been challenges to it yet?
In 2 years, this program works so well, and the privacy aspect of it is so airtight. We've not had even one situation yet where anyone has gotten in trouble where they've gotten a knock on the door. We have one patient right now who's a member of the program. She's compliant with the program. Who had some medicine with her on her person and was pulled over at a gas station and was arrested and charged. But it wasn't because she received the package. She had medicine with her, and the officer doesn't understand the law. He didn't even read her rights. So the Cannasense Foundation is going to be providing her with an attorney to get it expunged, just to get it thrown out. I mean, the case is going to get thrown out anyway. But as far as any of our patients getting in trouble for receiving the packages, it hasn't even happened one time. And I mean, we would welcome a case, of course. Any prosecutor or judge in their right mind would run screaming from a case like what would come from one of our patients or members, because this could set widespread legal precedent, which they're not going to want to be responsible for. And so, most cases would end up being thrown out. But if, in the unlikely event a case ever happened and did go to a jury trial, we would welcome that opportunity to argue these points in court and set legal precedent, because that is the goal, is to push forward and be pioneers in this cause.
Well, I have a feeling here in Indiana are going to be very interested in this program. Will they have an opportunity to talk with you on Monday or some candidates on Monday at the performance?
Well, get this. So Sunday, I'm actually coming in to give a lecture at Purdue through Young Americans for Liberty, and I believe one of the cannabis clubs on campus, and I believe the Normal chapter. And I'm going to be giving a lecture on medical cannabis Sunday evening. You can check my website, jordanpagemusic.com, for details. They should be going up tonight or tomorrow about the time and location. But I'm going to be giving a Cannasense talk and talking about medical marijuana and prohibition and how to become a member of Cannasense. If anyone that's listening to this program is interested in learning more, you definitely go to cannasense.com/education. That lays out the whole legal program and just the whole scope of the program. But you can email me at jpage, the letter J and my last name Page, jpage @cannasense.com, CANNASENSE, and I'm happy to answer questions and help people get into the program. It's like I said, it's really taken over my life, and I'm not touring that much right now because I'm helping so many patients. I mean, Look, this is the way I look at it, man. I've been protesting for 10 years. I've been banging my fists against monuments and screaming at bank buildings. I've written a lot of songs, and I've woken up a lot of people and made a ton of friends and memories that I will never forget. And I wanted to do something positive that I could actually help people who were actually suffering. And then this opportunity came along, and it came along right at a very interesting time, because I had just written a song about cannabis and an anti-prohibition, pro-cannabis song. And then I found out this past August, I was playing at New Hampshire Hemp Fest, and I found out that a grower in Northern California who was a fan of mine had actually created a new strain of cannabis and named it Jordan Page. So I had just found that out when Neil Schloss called me and told me, my buddy Neil Schloss, who's the founder of Cannasense, called me and told me about Cannasense, and I told him about the Jordan Page strain. He says, well, you got to come on board and we got to get it in the store. So since September, we've had Jordan Page, which is a sativa strain, in the store, and my patients that I work with have been smoking me, which has been really, really fun. And so, sometimes in life you get signs, and all the dominoes fall at the same time, all the pieces fall into place at the right sequence. And it was clear to me that God was telling me this was the next phase. This was the next thing I was going to do. And now I'm the public relations director of the company in just a few short months. And I'm on a mission. I was called a missionary for cannabis recently. And I'm on a mission to educate people and help them get access legally, in this current political climate. Eventually, everyone should have their own gardens, and cannabis could literally, cure us of our diseases and save the world. So I'm very hopeful that is where we're heading, and I'm just happy to be part of the movement towards that. And I'll preface this to some people might be skeptical and listening. I am not a recreational cannabis smoker, as you might imagine. I might be. I'm not, and I haven't been. But I just believe in this plant so deeply, and in God's purpose for this plant, and it's destiny with us, with the human race, that I'm dedicating like so much of my life and my time now to helping patients get the medicine they need, and so many people are having tremendous experiences and reversals of symptoms and just improved quality of life, that I know that I'm doing the right thing, and I encourage everyone to check it out and to get a hold of me.
Absolutely. Well, we will be looking at this weekend, Sunday evening. We'll get some details on that. Again, hit us with the details on the performance for Monday.
Sure, yes. So Sunday evening is the Canasense lecture at Purdue, and Monday evening, I believe it's at 5 o'clock in Fowler Hall, Fowler. Fowler Hall, Young Americans for Liberty chapter is hosting me for a concert. I'm probably going to play about 2 hours at least, and I'll be taking requests and playing a lot of new stuff, and I hope to see you all there.
All right. Well, thanks so much for joining us. Come back and see us, will you?
Thanks so much, Jason.
Until next time, I'm Jason Sipe, and I'll see you. Okay, special interview there with Jordan Page. Very interesting stuff. We've known Jordan for many years as a performer, as the Liberty rocker, as it were, and it's very interesting, the information he was passing along with Canasense. I'm really curious to see if any folks take advantage of that here in the Hoosier State and what their experiences may be. Okay, the Indiana Libertarian Update is a production of SipeSociety.com, your one-man education and online content consultant. I'm that guy. If you need something done, get in touch with me. I have many talents, and I am happy to put them at your disposal. Next week, we return with a yet-to-be-determined guest. If you have a news story, event, or meeting you want us to pass along, just send us a message via Facebook or drop me an email. That's jsipe@sipesociety.com. Until next time, I'm Jason Sipe, and I'll see you on the computer.